Look at my little pillow back here. Maybe I'll move that. Well, hello. Welcome to The Straight Edge, where I, an old gay trans man with bad teeth, give it to you straight about knives, because I love knives. And you do too, or you probably wouldn't be here. I've been thinking about knife design, how there's really two strong aspects of knife design, and that sometimes a knife is one without the other, and that's aesthetics and practicality, looks and ability. Two knives immediately come to mind as fine examples of being one and not the other, and that's the incredibly ugly, to me, Demko AD 20.5, a knife that will absolutely fuck shit up and has the exceptionally well designed shark lock. Now, I know some of you are going to fight me on this, but the AD 20.5 with the textured titanium is hideous. Go ahead, fight me on it. That's okay. We're all here to, I hold space for your opinions. You cannot fault its design when you think of what it's made to do and how fun and flirty the lock is. I know it's really pretty butch, but let's go with fun and flirty. It's Friday. Fun and flirty Friday. But to my sense of aesthetics, it's really quite hideous. If it were a human, we would call the AD 20.5 a brick, meaning very masculine, very heavy jaw, very heavy brow, strong features. Not necessarily, bad looking, but, a brick. This oddball knife, this Bestech Navi, I thought might be purely looks and no work, but it's actually a really good cutter. I bought it because I thought it was an interesting design. And it turns out it's a good cutter, and it's got the spoint too, which is useful in starting cuts as well as small spointy jobs. Now, you know or you don't, I'm a huge Giant Mouse fan, and nearly all their knives straddle that perfect line between good looking and utilitarian. They all have a slightly thicker blade, which lends them the ability to go after some really strong, tough materials. Let's look at some budget. Oh, I've got this sexy throat thing going on this morning. Let's look at some of the budget blades brick I've kept over time because I think they're wonderful examples of good looking and functional. Starting with my all-time favorite knife in the budget realm, the CJRB Echo. This is a boss knife. You can't beat this knife for its trifecta of cost, craft, and overall design. It's extremely handsome, good looking, and the slight bulge rise of the back and the cut here make it incredibly comfortable. It's an incredibly ergonomic knife. It is also hands down one of the easiest top flips I own. This is a top flipper for the people like me who suck at top flips sometimes. David C. Anderson of Knife Center could use this knife. He could absolutely open this knife. Could flip 3 out of 3. It almost feels expensive, except you can tell for some reason I can tell, maybe it's because it's got this shiny blade surface, but you can tell the steel is cheap. It's ARPM 9, which is, fine steel. I think it's in the D2 realm. It's CJRB's, their own little potion of steel, their little steel magic. Yeah, it's a great knife. The soft sheep's foot blade is a killer of cardboard. I wish they made a non-ugly upgrade of this knife because I've had a couple of their titanium fat carbon versions or the plain titanium version of this knife, and talk about an ugly knife. For some reason, this knife goes from this to really fucking ugly. They really fuck up a simple, elegant, sophisticated design by cross-hatching the sides and putting ugly fat carbon in. But I digress, as usual. An online gentleman sent me this as a +1 in a trade, and that's the Remet Cool Whale in carbon fiber and 14C28N. Now, I've never owned a Remet before, so I was dead curious about it. They do have some interesting knives, although aesthetically, generally speaking, they're not for me. I've not been particularly drawn to any of them, but I did like the Cool Whale. It's a big, sturdy blade with a false edge. Like, it's not a false edge, so it's a false edge. And some carved out parts on the handle for your gripping pleasure. What do you think of this design? Do you like the way this knife looks? I loved the way that it looked online. The way it photographs looks stunning, but in person, it's kind of generic. It's kind of blah. Just kind of like my date last night. But I digress. Justin Lundquist makes extraordinarily good looking knives that are also great cutters that are affordable. Even this one I have in titanium, it has 14C28 and steel, so it wasn't terribly pricey. And it's also got this fancy Segahai carving on the steel, the titanium. Here's a stunning knife, not budget, the Hogue Misto. A knife I yearned for many a moon, only to find out that when I did get it, and I was struck by its beauty. I was struck by its beauty. When I got it, the blade is quite thick for a short width blade. It's not a thick blade except at the spine, if you know what I mean. And that makes it less slicier than I want from a knife like this. But it is a great knife, and it looks fucking amazing. It's really stunning. Ergonomics are great. The dumb axis lock is fantastic. It's not the slicer because it's too thick. You'll never hear that out of my mouth except today. Never hear me say it's too thick. This line of inquiry made me think about the Ontario Rat, actually. Did I pull up the Rat? Yeah, the Ontario Rat. So I pulled this one up. It's the bigger one. It's the Rat 1. And it's so simply designed, it's generic in a good way, because it's the knife that set the tone. And rats are working knives. You don't get a rat unless you need to fuck some shit up, or you're a collector who has been told to have one in their collection to have a fully comprehensive collection. If you want to fully understand the breadth and wealth of knife creation, you're supposed to own an Ontario Rat. So that's why I have one. I've kept it to be a working knife, and I've never actually used it. But I understand it'll really fuck some shit up. The Rat made me think of the American Blade Works version. This is a version 7 with its sort of rounded bulb towards the... Look at these two knives. They're nothing really alike, and yet they share some DNA, I feel. What do you think? I think they share some DNA. And finally, the Devo Little Pony Stout is, to me, one of the finest examples of that perfect straddling of good looks and usability. I love this blade, and I love its larger brethren, the Stout, so much. This blade looks like a dinosaur to me. It looks like Barney. It's like, I'm a dinosaur. The herpitude of it, the herpetology of it all, it's got me, baby. What's your example of the best or worst of these parameters? What do you think? What tickles you in that sweet spot of design and practicability, utility? I may have to make a part 2 because there's so many that I want to discuss. There's so many fails, actually. But happy December, homies. I love you so much. Bye-bye. I'll see you later.